Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
How's it going, everybody? Eddie here in another episode of the Sales Software Review series. I'm here today with Paolo. He is the CEO and founder of Diio. How you doing, Paolo? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking to Paolo about Diio, an intelligent meeting assistant for SaaS, in particular HR companies that want to drive more sales. Help us unpack what this means.
Well, Diio was born this year. It's a fresh startup. Then we use the power of artificial intelligence to help sales teams to improve their meetings that they have with potential customers, like fulfilling all the actions that they don't want to do, like taking notes, keep track of commitments, updating the CRM, and also like giving them like insights about what the things that they are doing well and what are the things that they can improve. So Diio, it's kind of a copilot. I like to say that it's the Alfred of Batman of things. Then we have a lot of good experience with HR SaaS companies, but also there are different companies using Diio to improve the success of these meetings.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned it's this intelligent assistant, an AI that's in my meetings, helping me take my notes. But before your customers were using Diio, what were they using to analyze their calls, to take their notes? How were they keeping track of the conversations on the meetings?
Well, we have like two kind of users of Diio. One are the sales team, the people that are doing the sales. Then they have a lot of things that they need to do, like manual tasks, like updating the CRM, like taking notes, and they usually do it manually. That they didn't have many tools to do those kind of tasks. And the other are the management. The management didn't knew what are the sales teams conversation happening with potential customers. So they didn't knew if what were the concerns of most customers. They rely on the reports that of the sales teams did. Sometimes they like randomly go into meetings to try to understand the concerns of the customers, and also to understand if the sales team were following the narrative that the company wanted to do. So on small companies, that wasn't really an issue, but when companies start to grow, there's a big issue to understand if sales team follow the narrative that the company want to do to follow. And as conversations are black boxes, they actually need to be on those conversations to really understand what were happening.
That makes sense. Now, sales meetings are definitely a key step in a sales process, and influencing them, or at least being able to analyze what's going on in those interactions, can have a huge impact on a company's revenue. You mentioned a lot of the companies were using pen and paper or manually attending those sessions to try to get some insights as to how were the meetings held, if the salesperson was adhering to the brand guidelines, the sales process, the structure, the talking points that should be discussed in each of those meetings. And you mentioned that was a challenge, it's time consuming, but over time, we've also seen, let's say, some growth, maybe explosion in these type of, let's say, meeting assistants that kind of pay attention to your calls. But you were mentioning earlier, before we started rolling, how some of those tools in the market today do not go as far as Diio in terms of they're just analyzing, monitoring maybe keywords or transcribing, but not going further as to recommending some steps. So it seems like those were some challenges that are still happening even with some of those tools out there in the market today. I'm going to name some of the ones that people in the audience may be familiar with. There is Chorus, there is Gong. There are some other analytics like Otter, Fireflies, But as we said, those tend to be note takers rather than assistants. They do assist in the call just because they're going to give you a summary, but they don't necessarily always put it in the CRM and the different fields. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about these extra challenges that Diio does solve that the brands that I just mentioned do not solve?
Yes, as you said, that there are like two main trends. I will say like the commons like note takers, like Fireflies or the REDI, that record and generate transcripts of these meetings, but you are not able to really understand what are happening. If you are like having, I don't know, 100 or 1,000 meetings a month, and you want to understand the trends on those meetings. Like there's a new competitor that was named more often this week than last week or last month. Or maybe customers are now requesting more discounts like one month ago. Those trends, like to understand the meetings as a whole, not as individual meetings, it's something that transcribers don't do. You are not able to understand a vision about what's in common on the meetings that didn't convert to a sales, and what's common on the meetings that did convert. So that kind of analytics is something that are not available on these note takers, or more like personal productivity tools than I think that are on one end. And on the other end, there's like big brands like Gong or Chorus or Mightigal, or that there are like several big companies. Then they were born like before the Gen AI revolution that we're living in this couple of years. So they are more like direct to understand like metrics. Like for example, a sales rep, it's talking like 22% of the time, or the customer repeat the word like discount 62 times, but they don't generate a narrative that help me to understand what's happening with the conversation. And also we try to not focus on information, but focus in action. We want to solve action problems like sales rep have, like what are the commitments or the promises that are appear on a conversation. For example, if a potential customer says, "Oh, let's talk about this in a couple of weeks," Diio will take that information and generate a task and remember the salesperson in a couple of weeks, or remember to contact this customer, or when time frames are more vague, like soon or things like that. Diio will generate the task with a time frame that in a way that the action is always in the hand of the sales rep. He can take the action, then, and those actions are the things that they generate the sales. Also, we avoid all the manual tasks that sales reps don't want to do, like fill the information on the CRM, in particular fields on the CRM, depending on what are the playbooks for that company, or generated a follow-up email in the word and the sound and on the type of the conversation than they had on the meeting. So or provide like note taking very specific from the sales point of view, like the pains of the customer, the objections, etc. And also we use like AI to define which meetings are more possible to close and what are more difficult to close, like a predictive technology. And in that way, we allow sales reps to go to the low-hanging fruit first, and then to pursue the most difficult deals. And that saves a lot of time for sales reps. And actually, it's something very, very has a very direct implication with revenue.
That sounds incredible because, as we said, most assistants today, almost like the free ones, They just transcribe and summarize your notes, but they don't put them for you in the appropriate fields. They don't give you recommendations. They tell you, hey, you said that you were going to send an email. Don't forget to send the email you said. But they don't say, hey, I recommend based on this conversation that you attach XYZ, or that you take this action, or that you book a time at this moment in this week, just because it was part of the conversation. So it sounds interesting to hear about it, but Paolo, why don't you share your screen and show us some of these key features in action so that people in the audience can visualize how does it look like on the platform if they were to give Diio a try?
Perfect. So this is my Diio dashboard. I have several features here. I can go to check my commitments, all the commitments that are pending for me or pending for others. All these commitments are like automatically generated from the conversation on the meetings. But one of the most used case for me is going to my team's meetings to understanding what are happening. This, for example, it's a meeting that was happening today with Natalie, that is part of my team, with a customer, Alejandro. I can go to the meeting. I can understand that this has a good success, a prediction of success index. I understand why it has a good, in terms of the prediction of Diio, why it's a good prospect. I can see all the key notes that are not a summary, but are keynotes that Diio puts with the information that is relevant for sales. Also, all the commitments that then go out from the conversation, like the customer must share with Camila Paredes the personal opportunity. Natalie, that is the sales rep, must schedule a second meeting with Camila Paredes. Natalie must analyze the information from the first meeting, approve a business. So I can see this. I can see the sales team. It's 10 people. That is for us, it's something important because we sell seats from the platform, so I can see how it's the big of the deal. I can understand the customer pains, how long it should the purchase decision will be made, what are the questions that the customer asked that didn't have an answer, and for example, what CRM they use, what business suite, how the sales, many sales executives, and why Diio said that there are 11. Make all the math about what was said in the conversation. And
that's interesting. And this is also computing on your behalf, because the buyer just said, hey, I have 3 people on Luisa's team and another 7 on Carlos' team. And the system tells, okay, a total of X. Interesting.
Yes. And also I have like the learning tab, so I can see the grade that Diio put to Natalie on this conversation. So it's from 0 to 10, it sees a 6 and says what are the strengths that Natalie had on the conversation and what are the things that need to be improved. For example, dig deeper into discovery, and it gives examples of what the thing that Natalie said on the conversation and what are the suggestions that Diio do to improve on those things. And also it has the proposal for the meeting, so for the mail, and everything that is here can be like a comment by me. For example, I can say Natalie or whatever, and that ends with a comment then open the conversation. I can invite other people to the conversation. For example, if here the customer says that they are using Microsoft Dynamics, and we are not currently integrated with Microsoft Dynamics. We are currently integrated with HubSpot, Pipedrive, and Soho, and Salesforce. So I can tag somebody from the tech team as we should integrate with Microsoft Dynamic.
Wow.
Oops, Microsoft Dynamic. So in that moment, my team member will get a notification, and he can go to check this meeting. He can also see the meeting because he can see the video. So we can open the conversation, the sales conversation, to the whole company, marketing, product, technology, and everybody. So it's open this black box that is very powerful. The conversation, the customer sales rep conversation, but it's a black box that has a lot of gold for the rest of the organization.
I love that analogy of the black box because a lot of times these meetings, no one else other than the sales reps taking them knows what's going on inside them. And the sales rep can report whatever they want in the meetings, but who's really taking the time to analyze them? If they're taking the time, then it's very time consuming. A founder taking time off their calendar to just check sales rep calls, it's time consuming. But if you don't have a process in place to check that, well, guess what? There's a solution now. Diio, you can tag the comments, send feedback from a customer, a disgruntled customer, or maybe a customer that's very happy and should be recorded a testimonial. So you can tag someone in marketing to go ahead and collect that, and so on. This is very powerful. Let me ask you something. What are the tasks, deliverables, or people required and involved in setting up Diio for a company? How long does it take them to reach full productivity?
Well, we have Diio in three flavors now. We have the most light version is called Diio Starter. Then it's something that it's up to five sales reps, and people can set it up alone online. They Diio just we ask some questions, and the platform will set up directly, and they can pay with Stripe. Then we have the Diio business version. Then they can, for example, make a better customization about, for example, this prediction of success. That is something very generic. In the Diio Starter, we took the intention of the customer, and if the customer is part of the ICP, for example, for this ratio of success. In the business, we can tell we can put more information on that. And also, if you, for example, want to use a specific methodology for this, like SPICE, BAND, MEDIC, or any other kind of, for example, you don't want your sales team to offer discounts before the customer asks for a discount. That's something that can be configured on the business. And the business version has a 1 day kind of onboarding and setup with the Diio team and the customer Diio and the customer team. And then we have the enterprise version. Then it's very case to case, more target to big companies that want different privacy features, onboarding process, and that kind of stuff that depends on the requirements.
I like that in the middle plan, this prediction of success pretty much is a lead scoring criteria. And a lot of times companies don't set up their lead scoring in the CRM. Well, guess what? Spend the time to set it up in Diio. It'll analyze the meetings, and it'll give you that lead scoring that it can then now be pushed back to the CRM and documented in case you didn't create it there in the first place. That's a very interesting way to look at it. I wanted to ask you in that case, Paolo, for the different plans that you just mentioned, all of these three plans, what are the support channels that you have enabled for your buyers in each of those plans? Does one have meetings, a dedicated manager? Walk us through that, please.
Yes, the support in the starter plan, we have like a remote kind of support, like or virtual. It's everything done over intercom. We have a very fanatical support team, so they are 24/7 ask, giving information and answering questions. On the business and enterprise platform, we have like phone calls and virtual meetings to target the needs of the customers. And actually, we are very flexible in terms of support. In terms of we do all the support that is needed to the tool to work. As I told you, we launched in March, so we are very, very in the early stage to understand the needs of different markets and different customers. But we are committed to do whatever is needed to provide a support of the tool that our customers will need.
For a company with less than 1 year of age, I can definitely see a lot of features already implemented, already working. Does not look like a beta to me. It looks like a full-fledged product. So congratulations on that. I wanted to ask you that in that case, for people in the audience looking at the screen, curious about everything that you've shown us, what would you say are the KPIs or success criteria that they should look at if they are evaluating or, let's say, implement the deal in order to know that it's bringing them a positive return on their investment?
Well, definitely one is time saved in terms of doing things that sales team should not do, like
Admin
spending
work.
time on that's something that our initial customers report from at least 5 to 10% time saving in manual tasks that they not do anymore. The other more difficult to measure is the deals that you don't lose, or the deals that you close because you have the a tool that remember the commitments, then tell you what are the real concerns of the customer, and allows different people in the company to get involved in the conversation, because a lot of CRMs are very good coordination team tools, but the problem is that CRMs are as good at the information that you provide into the CRM, and there is a very big edging problem with the CRMs. Like, people don't want to put information on CRM, so they are not working very well in terms of coordination. This tool is more light in terms of the things that you need to do to understand what's happening with the different deals, and understanding of coordination implies a better close rate for different. So our customers are reporting selling more, but it's very difficult to really measure how much are you selling. They definitely say we sell more with Diio. We have a zero churn rate at the moment, and we have like very, very happy customers with an NPS of 80. And it's a very, very, very good rate. But evaluating the ROI is something that it's a challenge that we need to put more numbers to answer that question.
That makes sense. And so the first metric, hey, less wasted time on admin work. Conversely, more productivity. You should be able to work more contact records in the same amount of time as a rep. And the other layer is the one that is a little bit more intangible. How do you know how many deals you're closing because of the lack of insights that you're not having that you will have now that you have Diio? And these timely reminders, so you don't go 2 weeks or let a deal go stale if the client said, hey, call me on Monday. You don't forget about these things. And that is hard to measure, definitely, but it's something to be able to look at. And over time, companies should be able to identify that. Now, before we wrap up this session, is there something else you wanted to share with the audience?
Well, definitely, if you are curious about this and do you think something that can help you and you solve remotely to like Zoom, Meet, Teams, go and check it. We have the starter version. Then it has a free trial, and you can use it for 2 weeks and see if it fits your needs. It's the tool is available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and I think it's something that most companies that have SDRs, BDRs, customer success teams should try.
Fantastic, Paolo. Appreciate all the insights that you shared today. You mentioned before we started the recording that there's a lot of companies in LATAM really take advantage of your platform, but that this is a global platform. So anyone in the audience, regardless from EMEA, APAC, North America, take advantage of Diio. Head over to the CloudTask marketplace, look for the Diio listing, take sign up for a trial on your starter plan. And if you like it, hey, Paolo, his team will be there to assist you to get you set up in the platform ASAP and grow from there. Paolo, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And for anyone in the audience, again, head over to the CloudTask marketplace. We will be there to assist you. I'll catch you in a future episode, Paolo. Have a great day.